All right, let me ask you something. As an entrepreneur, do you ever feel like you're just the most overworked employee at your own company? If that hits a little too close to home, then you're in the right place. Today, we are diving into Dan Martell's framework, which is a total game changer for reclaiming the one thing you can never get more of, your time.
I mean, let that sink in for a second. If your business depends on you, you don't own a business, you have a job. Oof, that's a painful truth for so many founders, isn't it? If you literally can't step away, you're not the owner, you're an employee. And who's the boss? A lunatic. Yourself. That's the exact trap we're going to learn how to escape today.
So here's the game plan for how we're going to get you from feeling totally overwhelmed to back in control. We'll start by looking at the burnout trap, then we'll talk about the buyback principle, which is the escape plan. After that, we'll get into the actual toolkit you can use, how to put it all into practice, and finally, what your life can look like once you've done it. All right, section 1, the entrepreneur's burnout trap. And the big question here is, are you working for a lunatic? Let's get right into it because this really nails why so many founders feel completely drained, even when from the outside it looks like they're crushing it. So let me tell you about a guy named Stuart. From the outside looking in, Stuart was a huge success. I mean, the business was booming. But behind the scenes, it was a totally different story. His workload was insane, and it was causing him severe anxiety and even panic attacks. He was just juggling way too much. A classic case of that hustle culture just completely backfiring on him. What happened to Stuart is that he hit what Dan Martell calls the pain line. And this is a super important concept. It's that breaking point, that threshold where the stress of managing everything just becomes so overwhelming that you have to change something. The really scary part, if you don't actively make a change, you'll start doing it subconsciously. You'll sabotage your own growth, you'll miss opportunities, all just to make the pain go away. And this really gets to the heart of the confusion, doesn't it? We get busyness and productivity mixed up. On the one hand, you have busyness. It's all those draining tasks, feeling completely overwhelmed, working in the business, spinning your wheels. On the other hand, you've got real productivity. That's the stuff that energizes you, makes you feel in control, and lets you work on the business. That's where the real growth happens. Okay, so how do you get out of that trap? Well, it all comes down to a really powerful shift in how you think. Let's get into the escape plan. Introducing the buyback principle. So what is the buyback principle? It's actually a pretty simple but totally profound idea. You use money, which, remember, you can always make more of, to buy back your time, which is the one thing you can never get more of. See? It completely reframes why you hire people. It's not just about growing the business anymore. It's about buying back your own personal freedom. And this quote just says it all. Don't hire to grow your business, hire to buy back your time. This is the filter for every single hiring decision from now on. You have to ask yourself, is hiring this person going to free me up to focus on the stuff that really matters? It's a question that will literally change the way you build your company. So, how do you actually do this? You use something called the buyback loop, and it's a cycle you just run over and over again. Step 1, audit. You got to figure out where your time is really going. Step 2, transfer. You take all those low-value, draining tasks and you get them off your plate. Step 3, fill. You take that newfound free time and you intentionally fill it with high-value, energizing work. That's it. Audit, transfer, fill. Super simple, and you can do it again and again. All right, so the philosophy makes sense, right? Now let's get into the nuts and bolts, the actual toolkit you need to make this happen. We're talking about the drip matrix and the replacement ladder. First up is the drip matrix. Think of this as your personal diagnostic tool. It helps you figure out what to get rid of by forcing you to categorize every single thing you do. And you do it by asking 2 really simple but incredibly powerful questions. Number 1, what's the financial return on this task? And number 2, does this task light me up or drain me completely? And when you do that, you get this super clear action plan. Look, anything that drains you and is low value, that's the D for delegation quadrant. Get that off your plate ASAP. Then there's stuff that's high value but still drains you. That's the R for replacement. That means you need to hire someone for that role. The whole point of this exercise is to get you spending almost all your time in that P quadrant, production, high value, high energy. That, my friends, is your genius zone. The other tool is the replacement ladder. And this is so important. This is not an org chart, it's a strategic plan, a step-by-step sequence for hiring.
You start by buying back your time from admin tasks by hiring an assistant. Then you move up to delivery, then marketing, then sales, all the way up until you have a full leadership team. And every single rung you climb on that ladder frees you up even more.
Okay, so we've covered the what and the why. Now let's get into the how. Because let's be real, there are gonna be things that get in your way. We're talking time assassins and playbooks. So Martell points out these 5 time assassins. These are basically the ways we sabotage ourselves. And I want you to listen to these and be really honest with yourself about which one sounds familiar. Are you the staller who just can't make a decision? The speed demon who rushes without thinking? Maybe you're the supervisor, the classic micromanager. Or the saver who just hates spending money even if it's an investment. Recognizing which one you are is, seriously, half the battle.
But don't worry, there are ways to fight back. Here are 4 super practical time hacks you can use right away. The first is called the $50 magic pill. Basically, you give your team a small budget, say $50, to solve problems on their own without asking you first. It's amazing how many bottlenecks just disappear. Then there's the 1-3-1 rule. If an employee brings you a problem, they also have to bring you 3 possible solutions and tell you which one they recommend. This forces them to become problem solvers, not just problem spotters. These are absolute game changers.
So what's the payoff? I mean, what does it actually feel like when you get this right? Let's talk about what's on the other side, what it means to be living the buyback life. Hey, remember Stuart, the guy from the beginning who was having panic attacks? Well, after he put this stuff into practice, he got back over 30 hours every single week. Not only that, his revenue tripled, his income doubled, and the panic attacks? Gone. This stuff isn't just a nice idea, it has a massive real-world impact. So I have to ask you, seriously, think about it. What would you do with an extra 30 hours a week? Would you finally be home for dinner every night? Would you pick up that hobby you've been dreaming about? Or would you finally have the brain space to work on those huge projects that could change everything? That freedom to even ask the question. That's what this is all about.
And that freedom lets you do something Martell calls creating a preloaded year. He uses this great analogy of a jar. See, most of us let our calendar, our jar, fill up with all the little things first, the pebbles and the sand of everyone else's requests. What this teaches you to do is to put your big rocks in first. Your vacations, your family time, your big health goals. You schedule those before anything else. You start to build a life you don't feel the need to escape from.
Because the time you're buying back, it's not just so you can work more. It's so you can invest in a truly rich, balanced life across all the areas that matter. Martell talks about these 7 pillars: health, hobbies, spirituality, friends, love, finances, and your mission. The whole point is to make sure your business success doesn't cost you your success as a person. So I'm going to leave you with a challenge. Just for this next week, start paying attention. Start auditing your time. Think about that drip matrix. And I want you to identify just one thing. What is the #1 low-value task that absolutely drains the life out of you? Figure out what it is, because that right there, that's the first thing you're going to buy back on your journey to getting your time and your life back.